Thank you everyone for joining and joining us early this morning for the third breakfast session with Vincenzo Raffa from Roseto Valfortore in Italy. This is, as I say, it's our third session in 3 weeks. My name's Henry Grunen and we're here from the RECAH team. For those of you that don't know, RECAH is a project that's run on behalf of DG Ener from the European Commission and has been running from February last year. And it's been separated into 3 key tasks. Effectively, it's aimed at rural energy communities. The first tasks have been set up of 20 best practices across Europe. We've taken them from all over the respective 27 countries. And one of these best practices is from Vincenzo. The second task within the project has been set up of technical assistance. Effectively, this has been where we opened a call for applications for prospective communities or communities that are already set up and have required assistance. And we've matched them with respective experts from each country. That might be financial assistance, technical, citizen engagement, any of these kind of features. And the third part of the project has mainly been through dissemination activities. So as most of you know, we have a website, which I think all of you are part of the network. Where we've put most of these materials with guidance documents, the best practices, and we've also hosted events as well. So we've had the launch event, technical assistance event, and in November we will have our final event. As part of our sort of networking, we have 400 people in the network, and that's where these energy breakfast sessions have come about. So the idea of these sessions is an opportunity for yourselves to introduce yourselves, introduce your community or what your activity is in the field of energy communities, and to be able to ask questions to some of our best practice communities like Vincenzo, share your experience, and then hopefully once the project is completed, you'll have those contacts where you can continue that sort of development and relationship. So before I pass you over to Vincenzo, I just want to check that everyone is happy with this session being recorded. So if you don't, if you're not happy, please mention now. Okay, and is everyone happy to have their details shared with each other within the call at the end of the session? Okay, perfect. So without further ado, I'll pass you to Vincenzo, who will give you a quick 15-minute summary of his energy community, and then we'll open the floor to questions. And I would ask that when we do open the floor to questions, if you can introduce yourself, so your name and your activity within the energy community field, that would be greatly appreciated. So over to you, Vincenzo.
Thank you very much, Henry. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for this introduction. I am Vincenzo Raffa, and for me it's a great pleasure to be here to tell the story of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore. I work for a company called Friendly Power, and this company has been following the development of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore since the first moment. In addition to this, we have helped and we are helping during this period around 30 small municipalities between the regions of Campania, Apulia, and Basilicata in the center-south of Italy to establish their renewable energy communities. I will share my screen so I can show you a little presentation about the energy community. I hope you are able to see. Okay. So before to introduce the renewable energy community, I'll spend just a couple of words on the town of Roseto Valfortore. It's a town of about 1,000 inhabitants and is located in the interior of southern Italy, on the border between the regions of Puglia and Campania. It is a village that is immersed in the green forest of the Downy Mountains, and of course is a place rich of renewable natural sources like wind, like sun, and water. Our work on the developing of the renewable energy community began before Italy transposed, even partially, the European Directive 2001-2019. In December 2018, there was the first public meeting in Roseto Valfortore with the citizens and with the municipality. And on February 28 in 2020, we presented at the headquarters of the province of Foggia the first technical economic feasibility study of the renewable energy community. The COVID emergency slowed down the work, but in July 21, we set up the renewable energy community. The municipality of Roseto Valfortore, the first that always believed that the renewable energy community can create environmental, social, and economic benefit, was the first to make its roofs available to install the new photovoltaic systems of the renewable energy community.
Io devo parlare. No.
Today, the renewable energy community has about 40 users and inaugurated the first community photovoltaic plant on January 27 this year in 2023. It has a power of about 6 kilowatts and will satisfy the self-consumption of the first cluster of the renewable energy community, composed by 11 citizens. In this slide, you can see some pictures of the establishment of the association by the notary and the pictures of the first photovoltaic system. We also have other two solar plants, one of 20.6 kilowatts that is under construction on the roof of the town hall, and another of 23.5 kilowatts that was already authorized, but to be able to build it, we need that Italy, before issue the implementing decree of the law 199/2021. The publication of this decree was expected by June 2022, but today, more than 1 year later, the certain date of publication is still unknown. This problem is blocking not only the development of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore, but all the Italian renewable energy communities. In fact, this state of regulatory uncertainty does not allow citizens and companies to plan any type of investment. Just to be clear, we do not even know whether the incentive for self-consumption of renewable energy community members will be confirmed or will change. And at the moment, two drafts of the decree that they are trying to implement are circulating and have two completely different formulas to calculate the incentives. And just to add another little fee, another serious problem that we are facing now, but not only in Roseto Valfortore, also in other municipalities in the inland areas where we are operating and developing the renewable energy community, is the lack of capacity in the electricity grid to accommodate the energy produced by the new solar plants. For example, the 23.5 kilowatt plant that we have ready to build once the implementing decree finally will came out was supposed to be of 84 kilowatts, 84, not 23.5. But unfortunately, the response of E-Distribuzione, which manages the electricity distribution network, was that the electrical secondary substation closest to the installation site of the photovoltaic system could accommodate a maximum of 23.5 kilowatts. So this happens because in the inland areas of Italy, not only in the south, are already present many megawatt of plants powered by renewable sources, and the electricity grid is not sufficiently developed or is already saturated by this energy. So the problem for the renewable energy communities and the risk is that they won't be able to produce enough energy to meet the needs of all members. Because the possibility of connecting the plants to the electricity grid is denied. For example, in our case, the solution offered by E-Distribuzione to be able to connect 84 kilowatt aceric acid was to build at the expense of the RECAH a cable duct and make network works to connect the power station to be connected to the power station where there is the capacity to accommodate the energy. The estimated amount of the works was about 30,000 euros, 30, to connect around 84 kilowatt. Because we had to build around 500 meters of underground cable duct. Of course, we didn't accept this solution of connection, and the same happened to us also in other municipalities in the inland areas, where we had to reduce the input power required to avoid to carrying out network works that would make the investment inconvenient for anyone. So what could happen to the Italian energy communities? That we risk to find in the paradoxical situation in which the renewable energy communities will have valid projects which can also be financed at 40% with a non-repayable loan by the recovery fund, but which cannot be realized due to the lack of connection to the electricity grid. Anyway, returning to the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore, before showing you the numbers and the expected results, I would show you the most important points of the statute and the internal regulations, which are the documents that regulate the associative life. Here you can see some sentences from the statute. The renewable energy community aims to operate in the social, cultural, and institutional fields in order to promote the environmental protection, the energy saving, the spread of renewable energy sources, and as you can read, the last, least but not last, fight against energy poverty. The aim of the association is also to provide environmental, economic, and social benefits to all its members and to the area where, of course, we are going to operate, and not financial profit. The participation in the energy community is open and voluntary. So it seems that when someone wants to leave, is free to leave in any moment. And to the other side, when someone wants to join, is free to join in any moment. About the regulation on the other end, it is an important document because it defines how the economic benefits will be divided. The members of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore have decided to divide 30% of the money equally and 70% on the basis of the actual participation in the formation of the incentive. About this, it's important to underline that the economic benefits are not provided by the gestore dei servizi energetici to individual members of the energy community, but are provided directly to the energy community itself. It means that the regulation plays a fundamental role because it's based on this regulation how the revenues will be shared among the members. And the objective of this regulation is to reward the behavior of the most virtuous citizens, and especially of small companies that have higher consumption during the daylight hours. Of course, citizens can also choose to reinvest the money for initiatives to combat energy poverty or to build a new photovoltaic system. In this slide, I try to explain how the energy sharing mechanism works within the renewable energy community. In the geographical perimeter defined by the primary transformer, the renewable energy community members can virtually share the energy produced by one or more photovoltaic systems. This means that even citizens and small businesses that do not have a photovoltaic plant on their roof can virtually self-consume the energy produced by the energy community solar plants. In fact, under Italian law, the energy is considered virtually self-consumed if the withdrawal takes place at the same time as the energy is produced. On the basis of this principle, we carried out a technical, economic, and financial feasibility study based on the hourly self-consumption of users currently enrolled into the energy community. Here in this slide, you can see the number of the users that at the moment we have into the energy community and the capacity of the solar plants. The need of the energy community is about 90 kilowatt. And as I said before, now we have 6 kilowatt in operation and another 36 overall kilowatt from 2 other plants already authorized. In the example that I'm showing, we also make the hypothesis the construction of a fourth 48 kilowatt photovoltaic system. It is useful to meet the energy need of the energy community. Of course, together with the municipality and the citizens of Roseto Valfortore, we have already decided where to install the other 48 kilowatt, and we are preparing the connection requests to a distribuzione, hoping that we will have a positive answer. Here in this slide, I start to show you how we calculated the sizing of the PV system and what are the expected results. In the slide, you can see in the column 2, the total annual electrical consumption of each member of the energy community. And in the column 3, you can see the daytime consumption between 7 and 8 p.m. We decided to calculate the consumption only between 7 and 8 p.m. because it's the daytime in which the photovoltaic system produces its energy. As you can see on the right, in the table down on the right, we considered at the moment only 52% of the total consumption of the member of the energy community in order to calculate the sizing of the renewable energy community. Here there is the summary data of the overlapping of the hourly electricity consumption of the renewable energy community and of the joint production of the 4 photovoltaic plants. Here in the table, you can see the energy produced at each hour of the year between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. In the column 3, you can see the physical self-consumption, so the energy that is directly consumed in the place when it's produced and that it's not injected into the grid, but it's self-consumed in the place. In the column 4, you see the energy available for sharing. That is the difference between the energy produced and the energy directly self-consumed where it's produced. In column 5, you see the consumption, the total consumption of the all 40 members of the energy community. And in the last column, you can see the energy shared. As you can see, the energy shared is calculated as the minimum on an hourly basis between the energy available for sharing and the joint production of the 4 PV plants. The graphic shows the energy produced, in fact, as you can see in the graph, the dotted red line represent the minimum between the energy available for sharing and the energy consumed by the energy community. But why it's so important to make this calculation? Because as I'm showing you here in this slide, the benefit for the energy community increase according to the amount of energy shared. So, as you can see, the first saving is generated by physically self-consumption. So it's a saving on the electricity bill. Then all the energy that is fed into the grid is valued at the hourly zonal price, and on shared energy, you receive an incentive of an additional 11 euro cent per kilowatt hour, plus around 1 euro cent per kilowatt hour to reimburse the transmission charges, because the energy community works at a medium-low voltage. So this means that for the same energy produced, the more energy is shared, the higher economic benefits of the renewable energy communities are. And this is why it's so important a correct sizing of the photovoltaic system. Here also we calculated the environmental benefits that also we are going to produce. With all the 90 kilowatt in operation, the emission of almost 60 tons of CO2 per year will be avoided. And in the final slide, the summary result of the energy community. So, as I said, at the moment we have 40 members. We have 3 solar plants, 1 already in operation and 2 under construction. We have to build another plant of a power at least 48 kilowatt. And the final result will be this one. The production of the solar plants will be 112.5 thousand kilowatt hours. The energy that will be injected into the grid will be almost 100% of the energy produced, and the energy shared by the energy community is 92% of the energy produced. So we expect, calculating the average price of the energy fed into the grid at 9 euro cent per kilowatt hour, a total annual revenues of around 22,000 euros. Costs for maintenance, insurance, and management of the solar plant, and also administrative cost of the association of around 3,600 euros. So net revenues for around 18,500 euros. In the case of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore, they decided to do not directly invest to install the solar plant. So they will pay a fee to the investor that realized the solar plant for them. And it's around 11,000 euros. And it means that in investing 0, the renewable energy community will have at the end of the year around 7,000 euros, 7,500 euros. With this money, they can divide for each member around 200 euros per year. Of course, these are the results, but in the coming months and in the coming years, the projects of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore are much more ambitious, because the energy community wants to produce and self-consume 100% of the energy they need, and us, together with them, are already working on the developments of the renewable energy community, exploring opportunities for storage, for electricity mobility, and also district heating. What is stopping us now is the absolute regulatory uncertainty. Now we can only experiment with these technological solutions, but you cannot invest in such complex projects without knowing what the technical and the regulatory limits, what are the technical and regulatory limits to apply to these innovative solutions. So just to make another little example, also on the operation of the photovoltaic system. At the moment, the geographical limit is not the primary capping, but it's still the secondary capping. So, for example, the members of the renewable energy community of Roseto Valfortore are under 7 different secondary cappings, but they are under the same primary cap. So we are all waiting for the new decree law and the new technical rules that can expand this limit in order to build the new photovoltaic systems without any fear. So to conclude, I hope that the Italian government will clarify as soon as possible the regulatory framework and the technical framework, and we plan also serious investments in the electricity grid, especially of the inland areas. In this way, only in this way, he can give to all citizens the same opportunity to benefit from the great advantages offered by the energy communities. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo. That was very insightful indeed, particularly on the regulatory aspect. I'd like to open the floor now to questions. If you do have any questions, if you'd like to click the hand signal on the screen, and then also alternatively in the chat, you can put your question, and we can obviously ask that to Vincenzo. Christopher.
Hi, I'm Christopher. I'm working as a research assistant in sustainable energy planning in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And first of all, thanks
Stefano,
so much
please can you close your microphone?
Okay.
Thanks so much for your presentation and your very dynamic way of presenting. I have a question just about the last slide, because maybe you can just share it again.
Yes, of course.
Because I got a bit confused that there was like a production of 112 kilowatt hours, and then you have, let's say, 111,000 kilowatt hours fed into the grid.
Yes.
But then you also have 102,000 kilowatt hours energy shared in the community, as far as I understood. And I was just wondering why this doesn't end up to the produced energy.
Yes, that's why the energy shared, it's virtual. It means that there is the production of a certain quantity of energy. In the case of the energy community of Roseto Valfortore, a little percentage represented by the 1.2K kilowatt hour self-consumed is directly self-consumed when it's produced. So the difference between the production and the self-consumption is fed into the grid. And what happens? All the energy fed into the grid is paid by the GSE, Gestore Servizi Energetici, that is an authority owned by the Italian government state, okay, is paid at the hourly zonal price. But if the members of the energy community in the same hour in which the energy is injected into the grid take energy from the grid, looking to the Italian law, it's like they are taking the energy from the PV plant, even if they are not doing physically this thing. Okay. So the 102.616 kilowatt hour is the energy that during the year is took by the renewable energy community, by the members of the energy community on an hourly basis. And they calculate it differently because on the 111.300 kilowatt hours fed into the grid, I'm sure to receive a certain amount of revenues. But on the energy shared, if I'm not able to share that energy, I won't receive the incentive. That is a plus. You can see it here. Here. You can see it here. The energy is valorized 2 times. It's valorized when it's injected into the grid and also when it's shared. But the sharing, it's not something that is automatic. We have to be smart and good to see what is the consumption, and based on the consumption, build the right capacity of PV plant, just to maximize the percentage of energy shared.
All right, I think I got it. If you just go back once to the slide, that would mean that that basically the energy community itself gets this 9 cent plus additional 11.8 cent if they consume at the same time. But let's say the households connected to the grid, they'll pay the same amount they used to pay for the electricity, right? And so the profit of the energy community is of the energy community is basically what you calculated in the bottom part.
It is correct. It is
okay,
correct.
Super. Thank you so much. That clarified a lot.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Thank you, Christopher. Helena, I think you have a question as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you very much for a very good presentation. No? First of all, I would like to ask you, in our region, we usually so far, we built mainly on the, how to say, combination of renewable for houses in the public ownership. But as I understand, also the colleague from Italy, there is somehow a mixture of ownership or how to say members in energy community, meaning that there are also private households. That's just the question, no? But on the other hand, also what he already mentioned, I guess about this, how to say, how the system is strong or how infrastructure is not ready for enthusiastic energy communities. I think that might is happening all over. And of course, there is also the rule, as I understand, all over Europe, that of course, if you do not produce more then it is then you do not have a problem with other providers of energy. But this is just a comment, no. But otherwise, I would rather ask because for this model of public and private, how to say, members to be member of the energy community, how this really works now.
Well, I think that we must be focused on one point. If we want to develop an energy community, as the European, as the European directive says, we have to build new plants, new renewable plants. What is the aim of the energy community? Is to deliver energy at a lower price to their members and to give to its members a certain amount of energy. Because of course, if I provide my energy from renewable energy sources, I won't have an up and down on prices, because the sun, it's not affected by wars, it's not affected by catastrophes and so on. Same for wind. So what is important for first is to build new plants that works for citizens, for people. If those plants are built by public entities or private entities, it's not important. But what is important is that the control, the effective management of this plant, it's under the voluntary of the energy community. For example, in the Italian law, you have two ways to build the new renewable plants that are called assetto base and assetto attivo. You are in assetto attivo if the energy community directly invest to realize the renewable plant. You are in assetto base if the plant is realized by another entity, but the energy community, this is what says the law, must have the full availability of the plant based on a valid contract. So it's true that the plant can be of an investor or another player of the market or of a private person, but the management on the energy, the management of the energy, it's up to the energy community in any case, and this is what is really important in my opinion.
Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot for explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincenzo. Thank you, Elena. Stefano, I'd like to come to you.
Good morning to everybody. My name is Stefano Bonfa, and I'm an Italian living in UK at Oxford. And I have at the same time, let's say, a research project in Italy, in the south of Italy. And we also get the projects from PNRR, this National Resilience Recovery. To Vincenzo, if you can exchange your email, because we are starting this community green energy pilot project demonstrator here in Italy, and it will be very interesting that you can help us, especially with the Italian regulation on investment. Now, the question I'm asking to you, this two simple questions actually that we are considering in our proposal. One is, what about, anyway, we are going to develop a digital twinning artificial intelligence for renewable energy as demonstrator.
Yeah.
This means the idea is demonstrate something to the population, to the community, the value of renewable energy, and export the idea in the Mediterranean countries. So we have two projects, one from a research horizontal program and one from PNRR. We are starting now. And the question I'm asking about is data. This means for us, it's very important to have some kind of database where we start the observatory and we start to understand the process, the data from energy point of view. Second, you have the problem of climate now. So this means how you fit the climate change in, because this is start to become a complex infrastructure. So climate is a big problem. And that's why that's the reason why we do exploit the concept of digital twinning, that we have large experience in UK on implementing digital twinning in anything, you can say. And we are developing now at University of Reggio di Calabria some kind of research network on digital twinning, where you are linking with the territory. Community is important for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefano, for your questions. Well, about your first question on data and how to find it in order to study, to start the study, I can give you a little advice, or maybe that's the best I found out to make our studies. Any person, any business, any municipality that joins the energy community, of course, has a counter in its place. If you go on the website of e-distribuzione and you register the owner of the contract, so of the counter, it's not important what is your energy provider, if it's Enel or if it's another one on the free market, but you can see for that counter the consumption of the last 18 months based on quarter hours. That is the timing in which e-distribuzione collect the data and send the data to the company that make your electricity bill, because all the data are under the control of e-distribuzione that manages the distribution grid and all the counters. This is what we did. In this way, we gave a look to the real consumption in the solar year of all the members of all the 40 members of the energy community. So we made an estimation of the hourly consumption, and based on this, we calculated the power of the solar plants. Going to the other question. That was about the IoT, I suppose. Now, how the IoT can help the energy communities.
But, I mean, it's more than IT, it's digital twinning.
Well,
it is completely different. It's first you digitalize the data, then you start to develop the digital twinning, then you start to planning everything. But my question is climatological data. So in other words, this is you see, in Emilia Romagna, they were not able to predict the extreme event because your community start to become a complex. When you involve 40 community, what happens if extreme event will reach that location?
Well, it's a hard question because the energy community, it's only a little piece of the puzzle that can help mankind to fight the climate change. In our small dimension of an energy community in an inland area of the south of Italy, what we can do for our plants is to have a full insurance contract. In this way, we can try to be repaid if something extreme happens. But of course, we are too small to think that we can have a real impact on this. But if Roseto Valfortore, with other thousands of municipalities in Italy and 100,000 municipalities in Europe, starts this process of conversion to renewable energies and joins the energy community and the philosophy of the energy community, I hope that will be able to have a concrete impact on this climate change.
Stefano, you're on mute.
I want to launch one idea. We are developing a research horizontal Europe on building community energy under climatological and crisis of food. This is a research program. Who is interested to join to us on this type of proposal for horizontal Europe? Is that what we are going to tackle? This means we are going to use Earth observation satellite, communication satellite, etc., building the digital twinning and trying to monitoring, not in real time, but nearly what happens in the area, and therefore also the energy. So we do have already the platform developed in UK, and we want to export in the Mediterranean countries. We have one pilot project under, let's say, under development here in Italy, and they will be pleased if someone is interested to join us to create an alliance of how to tackle climate changing using data, referring to building a community and renewable energy. It is something that EU is looking for. Thank you for everybody.
Thank you, Stefano. We can exchange our emails. In this way, we can continue this discussion.
Then can you send your email by chat, maybe?
Yes, of course.
What we'll do, Stefano, thank you very much for your questions. What we'll do, obviously, at the end of the session is we'll share the emails within the group on the call, providing everyone that said that they're happy to do that. So then people will be able to reach out to you on that particular question, and vice versa. So yeah, no problem. Anita, I think you also have a question.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I'm Anita. I'm working as a project manager in Austria for energy communities. And we have about 200 projects at the moment. My question is, do you have any intentions of including other energy production systems like wind or solar power, wind or hydropower, or do you solely focus on solar energy?
No, we are focused on solar, but also on wind. We decided to start with solar because it's easier to predict and it's faster to authorize. One of the first discussion we had with the municipality was, okay, we want to start this process, we want to involve the community, but we must try to give fast answers. So if we say we want to make the energy community, we are going to build a new wind plants and not solar plants, for example. In Italy, if you want to authorize a small wind plant, even just bigger than 20 kilowatts, that I mean 20 kilowatts, it's very small, you need not less than a couple of years, if everything goes right, to have your authorization. But to build a new solar plant, you can do it in a couple of months, 2, 3, 6 months, between 2 and 6 months. That's why we started from solar. But of course, we are also looking at the development of new wind plant with the capacity of between 500 kilowatt and 1 megawatt.
Okay, thanks.
So this is the reason why we decided to do that. And I would add that Roseto Valfortore is one of the most windy areas in Italy. In that municipality, in the territory of the municipality, are installed already 80 megawatts of wind power. So on that territory are producing already around 200 million kilowatt hours from wind. So that is a territory since the beginning of the century that is 100% renewable, because the green energy produced, it's much higher than the energy consumed in that place. But of course, the ownership of that wind plants, it's of the biggest European big companies like Enel and other European players. What the energy community wants to do is to install in the next years at least a couple of megawatts of wind to have the energy on the territory.
So it's not just Austria where wind and hydropower is a bit more complicated. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita. Does anyone else have any questions? Does anyone want to open up their microphone, or if you have any other questions, do you want to put it into the chat? No, okay. I did actually have just one question. You mentioned that wind, so I can only really speak from the UK perspective on this, but particularly onshore wind, in the last few years, it's been extremely difficult to get planning permission for such projects. Obviously, you mentioned there's an awful lot of wind in that area of Italy, down in Apulia and Campania. Yes. Is there problems all over Italy, or are there problems in getting planning permission for wind in certain areas of Italy? Is it easier in some areas than others? Obviously, Anita, you mentioned as well that it's quite difficult to have wind energy installed in Austria, and obviously I think it's a general consensus across Europe that solar it's quite a lot easier to get planning permission and for installations to go in. Would you be able to share any information on that, whether it's a bit easier in some areas of Italy compared to others?
Well, Henry, maybe only in the Italy has a huge problem given by the morphological situation of the territory. Is cut in two by the Appennini between Emilia-Romagna and Calabria, and all the areas, all the municipalities that are located in the Appennini are very hard to connect to the grid, because the estimation of the works is double, 3 times, 4 times than the normal cost in a normal situation. Plus, are areas where the inhabitants are not a lot. The majority of Italians, of course, is in the Pianura Padana, no? between Lombardia, Piemonte, the north of Emilia-Romagna and Veneto.
In the flat area.
In that area would be easier to connect plants, but in that area you have not wind. You have 3.5 meters per second in that area. So it's not economically feasible have wind plants there. When you have 7 meters per second on the Appennini, have the grid connection, it's hard. And in the last 20 years, Terna is making huge investments in the grid. But if you have thousands of megawatts of connection requested, of course, the development of the grid, it's always slower than the requests you have. And as I was saying, as energy community, we can face a big problem. Because if I want to develop a 20, 30, 30 megawatt wind or solar facility, I can do it when I want, because I can spend millions in connection. But if I want to make 100 kilowatt, 500 kilowatt, 1 megawatt, I cannot afford millions in expenses for connection. I must have an easy solution of connection.
That makes sense.
If the value of the scope of work to build 1 megawatt wind is 1.2, 1.3 million euros, but I have to pay 500, 600K for connection because I have to make, for example, 5 kilometers of cable duct, underground cable duct. How can I afford this?
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've reached 9 o'clock in the UK, 10 o'clock in Europe. I want to thank all of you for joining the session and getting up early and joining myself and Vincenzo this morning. if you do have any other questions, obviously feel free to email us. I'm sure Vincenzo would be able to ask a couple more. And also, if you are able to message some feedback in the chat, that would be greatly appreciated. Because obviously we'd love to hear how we can improve these sessions and what you liked about them and so forth, as we're going to run these throughout the summer. But otherwise, thank you very much. And thank you, Vincenzo, for your time this morning.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Perfect. And I hope you all have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Ciao. Ciao a
Bye.
tutti.
Thanks, bye, ciao.